Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim HaKodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us His truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word in truth and in sincerity. The hopeful elect, Tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yashawan, back with the World War III Daily Update. And we're going to start right here. We're going to get into economics, finances, and politics of the war, and how Vlad is basically destroying the New World Order because he's basically being controlled, all right, by the Most High, Yahweh. All right, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So we're going to start right here in 2nd Ezra 13, and we'll start at 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven, meaning the whole world. All right, now this line, to subdue the man that came out of the sea, this is talking about the man that the world ignorantly calls Jesus, right, whose name is Yahushua. So we'll leave that out for the moment, all right, and we'll focus on who was gathered together, this multitude of men, what they were doing before Yahushua showed up. They were fighting each other. Okay, and I'll show you that. All right, now here they are again. And after this I beheld, jump down to 8. And lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid. All right, who are they trying to subdue? Yahushua. But this is the point I'm getting at. And yet durst fight. Why did they fight? They were scared as hell. But they fought anyway. Why? Because the Most High put the Spirit on them to do it anyway. Said, no, you're going to fight this battle. And so they did. Right? And that's the battle when all the armies of the world tried to fight against the one that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ and the angels. All right? Remember these words, gathered together. All right? And why did they fight anyway? Let's show that real quick. This is Proverbs 20 and 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? All right, and more on that. All right. Furthermore, this is talking about Vlad himself. The king's heart, which is his mind, right? Vlad is the king of Russia, right? The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay? Now let's go to Revelation 19. Okay? Now these armies that were gathered together, Revelation 19 and 19. And I saw the beast, NATO and the EU, and the kings of the earth, there's Vlad, and their armies gathered together, right? This is World War III. All right, World War III is raging. And then, okay, out of the fourth dimension come the one that sat on the horse to make war against him that sat on the horse. Who was gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse? All the kings of the earth and their armies and the beast, NATO and the EU. They're already over there fighting each other. That's how they were gathered together. Okay? Who sat on the horse? Rider on the white horse. And I saw heaven open, the fourth dimension open, and behold, a white horse, a chariot of Israel, which you ignorantly call a UFO. And he that sat upon him was called faithful and true, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Okay? Jump down to here. And the armies which were with him, Salakia, the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. Okay? The chariots of Israel, God's army. Right? The UFOs. All right? Clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Okay? Now, who gathered them together? Right? I saw the beast, NATO and the EU, and the kings of the earth, all the armies of the earth in World War III, and their armies gathered together. All right? Oh, I got to go through all of this. Okay, let's get that. This is Joel 3. Joel 3 and 2. I will also gather all nations. This is the Most High saying that. The Lord judges it. I, that's the Most High Yahweh, will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Who's gathering? God is gathering. Who is he gathering? Here's the NLT. I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay? Here's what's going on. All right? This is Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So God is creating World War III right here. He's got his reasons for doing it. Okay? Eventually, those nations are going to fight against the mighty ones. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Who are the mighty ones? The angels. That's when Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and the angels get into the fight of World War III. Okay? This is World War III. Proclaim proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Right? Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, gather yourselves together round about. All right? That's them fighting each other. Then, out of the fourth dimension, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Okay? Now we'll go back to 2nd Ezra. Okay? And we'll get where they were fighting each other right before the appearance of Yahweh Shai and the angels. Right here. This is 2nd Ezra, this is 13 and 33. And when all the people hear his voice, okay, when all the people hear Yahweh Shai and the angels starting to shoot them laser beams, every man shall in their own land, meaning the nation that they're from, all right, not the land itself, but the nation that they're from, right? If you're a Russian, you're from the land of Russia, okay? If you're a Philistine, you're from the land of Philistia, or once was, okay? You get the point I'm trying to make. Every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. That's World War III. They're going to stop fighting each other. Then they're going to turn their attention to Yahweh Shai and the angels. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to try to overcome him by fighting. So the point is, this is World War III. Okay? Now, go back here, and we'll see who's controlling Vlad, right? Vlad is out of control. He's supposed to be down with the New World Order. And he might think that he is. But here's what's going on. All right? And we'll watch some videos. The king's heart. Who's the king? Vladimir. What is his heart? His mind is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. God can make Vlad do whatever, make him fight when he's scared, make him break ranks in the New World Order and do the opposite of what he agreed to do. Okay? The king's heart. The king's heart. The King's heart, king's heart, king's heart, king's heart, king's heart. Okay. Good News Translation. The Lord controls the mind of a king. In this case, Vladimir Putin. So, if you've ever heard of MK Ultra, mind control, who's the king of all mind control? Yahweh Bashem Yahushua created mind control, created MK Ultra. Okay? Put it in the mind of the Nazis. All right? The Lord controls the mind of a king and everybody as easily as he directs the course of a stream. So, whatever Vladimir Putin is doing, going against the grain, oh, he's the most evil person in the world since Adolf Schicklgruber. Whoa. All right, Slovakia. So let's watch this.
And on to Kremlin criticism. Billionaire Oleg Tinkov, one of Russia's most well-known businessmen, is strongly denouncing Russia's invasion of Ukraine and urging the West to do more to, quote, stop this massacre. CNN's Nick Robertson joins us now. Nick, we had friend of Alexei Navalny and the executive director of Russia's Anti-Corruption Foundation on earlier this week, and he said that there has to be a way back for some of these sanctioned businessmen, these oligarchs. If they denounce the regime and they denounce the war, there has to be a way back from the sanctions. And it does seem to be, at least as far as the denouncing is concerned, that's what Tinkov's doing.
He is. He's also talking about a way back for President Putin. He's incredibly critical of Putin, scathing in a way that no oligarch currently in the orbit of President Putin has been so far, calling the war insane, saying that there's a terrible army, that the generals are waking up from hangovers, realizing this, that an era, and this is where the criticism becomes very direct of President Putin and the failure of the army, by saying this sort of era of civility and groveling and nepotism is what's led across the country, is what's led to the fact that the army can't fight and that they're making losses. So really is laying this right at the feet of President Putin, and criticizing the civil servants who work in the Kremlin, saying that they're in shock that their children can't go on holiday on the French Riviera. It's not clear if he's talking about the Kremlin spokesman there or the Russian foreign minister, but these are certainly men whose children, stepchildren, travel around Europe. So he's taking a real aim at the top, at the second level, but at the same time, as I say, sort of trying to find a way out for Putin, saying that the West should find a face-saving way out for President Putin, which I think really gets to the core issue here, that this is all about President Putin. Tinkov understands this. It's not about anyone else. Putin is stuck, if you will, in this war that he created, on this narrative that he created. But it's not clear that Putin is going to listen, or precisely what he'll do to try to silence Tinkov. This is not the sort of message that Putin wants spreading around Russia.
Now, Vlad done went against the grain. Why? All right, because his mind is being controlled by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Why is he going against the New World Order that he agreed to? All right, and if he's not now, if all of this is a ruse and a theater, right, to make us believe, as they install the infrastructure of the New World Order, which has to do with CBDC, banking, and the chip that goes in your hand. We could be watching that right now. Don't be deceived. If he hasn't flipped yet, he will be flipped. Okay? Because this is the beginning of the end. And he can't be stopped. All right?
Right now.
Yeah, Nick, you pulled out the two quotes that I saw as well. In a country riddled with corruption, nepotism, sycophancy, and civility, how can the military be effective? And to your point, dear collective West, please give Mr. Putin an exit to save his face and stop this massacre. Please be more rational and humane. Nick, you've said this all the way along. There needs to be an off-ramp. There needs to be a way for President Putin to say, I've got some kind of victory and I've succeeded here.
The oligarchs, his handlers, if you will, are saying, look, hey, Vlad, you tripping. Vlad, all right, you fucking with my money. That's what they're saying. Okay, tycoon, what does that mean? These are the people that run this thing. Said, Vlad, we didn't give you the nuclear football for yourself, nigga. We gave it to you so that we could move into the next phase of trying to hold on to world power, and you're messing it all up. And what you're eventually going to do is launch them nukes. This is World War III. The Most High is doing this. He's the one that put them in this quagmire, and he's using Vlad, right, to jack it all up.
He's pointing to that too. What does that look like at this stage, and how does the West provide it? Should they provide it?
It's going to be very difficult. The issue of war crimes and allegations against President Putin and his forces are stacking up. There are investigators right now. The European Union, European Council president is in Kyiv right now.
He can't go back. Okay, he like this. Oh, I might as well do what the hell I want. They're going to try to kill me anyway. I got these nukes. You ain't putting me in prison. You ain't going to have a sniper come out and, you understand? He's being controlled by the Most High. They're like, dude, you got to quit. What are you doing? It's not the agreement that we made.
About how the European Union can support in the investigation of war crimes, amongst other things. As that evidence mounts up, it's very hard to see an international community currently backing Ukraine in a humanitarian way, economically, militarily.
If Vlad was sticking to the script, they wouldn't be talking about war crimes. Okay, that's what they say when you go off script. We got you on war crimes. And he's like, oh, I might as well do what the hell I want to if you talk about war crimes. You know, I could flip it. And that's the Most High controlling this fool, making him think, you know, that you could do anything more than your superiors want you to do. Well, who's the superior? You can't do anything more than what your superior is going to have you.
Is going to step back from what Ukraine demands, which is that Russia should get off its territory, that their forces should go back to pre-February 24th positions. So as long as President Putin continues that level of aggression that's underway right now, and his forces dispersed in parts of Ukraine where they never were before, it's hard to see how anyone in the international community could find a face-saving way for President Putin that didn't look like appeasement. That's going to be tough. So the move, it seems, is also going to have to come from within Russia, from people like this oligarch and others, to convince Putin that he also has to do something. It can't all come from the West.
Okay, so what are we supposed to be doing with what is going on? We're supposed to be looking spiritually at what's actually going on. Whatever they're putting on the news, especially CNN, right? You know that that's some bullshit. That's a cover story. What's really going on in the Ukraine? Well, that's the laboratory, if you will, for the NWO, where they're working on a monetary system, a way of life that moves into what they call the NWO, into their future. They're making bioweapons to control population. Everything that the NWO has to do. Look at the Georgia Guidestone. What's the first thing it says on the Georgia Guidestone? It says control the population at this specific level. How do you do that? Well, you're going to need some bioweapons, right? Race-specific bioweapons, right? And they're not aiming them at Russians or other Edomites for that matter. All right, what is actually going on in Ukraine that Vlad is shedding light on? Okay, if you look under the war, you see what's actually going on. He ain't supposed to be shedding light on the operation. The Most High's got him doing that. What's going on in the steel mills, in them underground caves and stuff what are they doing down there? Okay? That's the questions that should be being asked. Let me see. Oh, there's one more. Let me see. This is more on Vlad.
Even as multiple sources.
This is CNN as well. This is April 20. This is today. Ex-Putin advisor proposes smart embargo on Russia. To do what? To end this? This dude is out of control. He's like this, oh no, you niggas gonna lock me up and kill me? You gonna shoot me? I might as well go for it, right? Or it can be said, well, the Most High got me. There's nothing I can do, right?
CNN tonight that the U.S. is preparing another $800 million in weapons for the Ukrainian military. The number that may matter more to Vladimir Putin is $38 billion. The EU has spent at least that much on Russian energy just since the war began.
Now we're dealing with financial, economic, and political ramifications of what is going on the ground in the Ukraine right now and how it's shaping. See, sanctions on Russia means, hey, it's going to affect everybody in the world, all right? And sanctions ain't working. Vlad is still making his money, right? But then when you got the oligarchs that are on his side saying, hey, dude, you messing with my money. You're going too far. Then you know that somebody went rogue and all fingers are pointing at Vlad and they're calling him the new Adolf Schicklgruber. All right? Oops, lucky.
My next guest knows the impact the money will have on the mind of the Russian leader. Andrei Illarionov is Putin's former chief economic advisor. Andrei, good to have you on tonight.
Good evening. Nice to be with you.
You worked with Vladimir Putin at a time back in the 2000s when he seemed to be interested in moving closer to the West. What have you seen changed in him since then that has led to where we are right now?
The most serious evolution, or maybe better to say devolution of his attitude has happened between year 2003 and year 2007.
Now, did you hear that? Most High been working on the king's mind. Let's listen to that again. What changes have you seen? Oh, well, he's tripping. Okay. He's going against all of our plans, what he agreed to in the first place. Listen close.
Devolution of his attitude, evolution, or maybe
in him since then that has led to Putin at a time back in the 2000s. Have you on tonight?
Good evening. Nice to be with you.
Now listen to the question he asked and listen to the answer he gives.
You worked with Vladimir Putin at a time back in the 2000s when he seemed to be interested in moving closer to the West.
To the New World Order. When he was in agreement with what was going on.
What have you seen changed in him since then that has led to where we are right now?
The Most High started controlling his mind a while back and put in his mind, you're going to be quiet, you're going to play possum until that moment where you're going to spring up and ruin the whole thing.
The most serious evolution, or maybe better to say devolution of his attitude has happened between year 2003 and year 2007, when he has changed his mind from pretty pro-Western political leader, especially for the Russian situation, to very open anti-Western leader. That happened in this period of time.
So what he just said is, well, he made a deal with the NWO, and now he's breaking it.
We can discuss what exact factors did contribute to these change of mind. I would say probably one of these was Iraq War, revolutions in Georgia and Ukraine, and also exposition to new ideas that he never heard before, but we need to say some Americans told him these wrong ideas that he took as a weapon and started to use from year 2007.
The Most High put in his mind, here's what you're going to do, Vlad. You're going to turn your back on everything you agreed to.
What ideas exactly?
What does this say? Former Kremlin advisor on Putin's state of what? Mind. No, I'm showing you what is on Putin's mind. What's on Putin's mind? Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is turning it whithersoever he will go. All right, we'll read that again at the end of this.
The idea of against NATO, against membership.
Against the New World Order. He signed a deal. You shook hands on the NWO. So they put you in power. Once you got your hands firmly, what is Medvedev? I forget his name. There was somebody who came in the interim that had to do 4 years before Vlad could get back in. Medvedev. Okay. And then they put him back in, and now he's running with the football all the way to the goalpost.
As a weapon and started to use from year 2007.
What ideas exactly?
The idea of against NATO, against membership of Georgia and Ukraine in NATO, the idea is to bring NATO back to 1997 division line in Europe, an idea of superpowers that are having spheres of privileged interests.
Most High put hooks in his jaws and turned him back.
In the beginning of year 2000, Putin did not have such ideas, but he has acquired those ideas around year 2005 to year 2007.
Well, we're seeing those ideas in action now on the ground in Ukraine with ruthless effects. What would make a difference for him? What would actually stop him? He's been under sanction for years. Is there one sanction that would make a difference?
In this particular situation, I would propose something that I would call a smart embargo on Russian energy. What do we have right now? We have 3 serious problems at the same time. First of all, Putin does receive about $1 billion per day as a result of export of Russian gas and oil. That is money that is financing Putin's war machine. Second, this Putin's war machine is making a lot of damage. It made enormous damage to Ukraine, which is measured by hundreds of billions of dollars on the Ukrainian territory. And Ukraine does need money to restore and repair.
So, if the Ukraine is the laboratory, the jumping off spot for the NWO, and Putin is over there destroying it, okay? What does that mean at the highest levels of whatever the plans are for this devil to hold on to his control or his rulership as it comes to an end? All right? These dudes are worried, all right? Because they can't control Vlad. They done gave Vlad the football, and he's running with it, all right? And they can't stop him. Why? Because the Most High set him up to do all of these things, all right? Most High is the one turning him back. They didn't expect that.
All these damages. And third, we need to give some time to Europe to adjust to a new situation where Europe would be able to avoid import and consumption of Russian energy. What would be the golden instruments to solve this puzzle? The idea is to introduce the so-called smart embargo. What does it mean? It means introduction of the escrow accounts for which all proceeds from Russian oil and gas will be accumulated, but will not be given back to Putin.
Until after the war.
These money can be used until the end of the war, until withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine, for financing reparation, restoration, rehabilitation of Ukraine. And it gives time for Europe to adjust to a new situation without Russian energy. We can think that if some portion of this money, let's say 50%, will be going to Ukraine, it will be substantial support for Ukrainian efforts to resist aggression and to normalize life in Ukrainian cities and villages.
He'll never agree.
There's been a lot of speculation in the West as to whether Putin can survive this at home, set aside the Russian public, but just inside the Kremlin. You work for Putin. Is there any potential for someone challenging his leadership, the military, someone else? Is that realistic?
I think we need to come to a very clear idea that with all problems with Putin personally, the most serious problem is with the Putin's political regime. And that is why we need to absolutely serious that with such a political regime, with Putin or without Putin, Russia will remain threat to international peace and security. So that is why we need to think about not only live with Russia without Putin, but without Putin's political regime. No matter how long and how difficult it will be. But that should be a goal for international community. World cannot live in peace and security if we have such an aggressor who's attacking neighboring countries, and not only neighboring countries, killing hundreds of thousands of people in Chechnya, in Georgia,
Yes.
in Ukraine, in Syria, in Africa, around the world.
Yeah, we're witnessing it every day. Andrei Ilarionov, thanks so much for giving us.
All right. We'll get a couple of scripts on the way out. Here's what's going on. Let's see. Let's go back here. All right. Start here. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart, which is his mind, is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So God is in control. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is running the show. All right. What is he doing? Right? Which, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Well, where does he want to turn it? He wants to turn it back. Okay? He's going to turn his mind back. Right? So, the land of Magog is talking about Russia. Okay? It says here, Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And we see that happening right now. And then, when they declare World War III, and they all the allies of Russia form up, Iran, these different parts of Africa, okay, Turkey, all right. Here's where it's going, okay. And this is what it is. If Satan okay, Vlad is an Edomite. He's fighting against his fellow Edomites. Luke 11 and 18. If Satan also be divided against himself, what does that mean? Vlad is effing up the program. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? Because ye say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. Okay. How can this kingdom stand if they're against themselves? You see how that works? They're all together, but the Most High flipped Vlad. Now, the kingdom is over. What is the NWO? It's the continuation of the kingdom of Satan. All right? The adversary of Israel, the adversary of God. Who are God's adversaries? Okay? This is Psalm 83 and 1. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Okay, so God has enemies. He has adversaries. Okay? Satan, the word Satan means adversary. Who's adversarial to God? The tabernacles of Edom. Satan. Okay? Satan is fighting against himself right now. You're supposed to be fighting against the Most High. And you will. But right now, he got you fighting against yourself. Vlad has been turned. All right, so with that, we hope that you got a little understanding. We hope that the elect were edified, you brothers and few sisters. And with that, we can say shalom.